Hello everyone. In this video, you're going to learn how to create your own Tinkercad account, how to drag objects into the Tinkercad workspace, how to change those objects' shape and size, and how to change the angle at which you're viewing those objects. Okay, let's get started. If you already have a Tinkercad account, you can just click Sign In right here. If you don't, click Join Now. If you are 13 years old or older, you can enter your birthday here. If you're not, enter the birthday January 1st, the year 2000. Now you might be wondering, wait a second, isn't that illegal or something? I can't lie on the internet about my age. And the answer is no, because every parent or guardian who signs up a camper for 3D modeling and printing has agreed to allow them to create their own Tinkercad account in accordance with the Child Online Protection Act. So we're good to go. Just click Next. And if you have an email, enter your email. If you don't have an email or you don't want to use your real email, we can use a temporary email. Open a new tab and navigate to mailinator.com. It's a little hard to see on my screen, but down here there is a temporary email address that you can select by clicking and dragging, and then either pressing Command-C or right-clicking and clicking Copy. Then navigate back to the Tinkercad account creation and either press Command-V or right-click and paste. If the email address has already been used, just go back to Mailinator and refresh the page to generate a new one. Make your password Galileo1, all lowercase. The reason for this is because if you forget, it'll be much easier for us to recover your account. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and pause the video and create your Tinkercad account. Okay, you wrote everything down? Great. Click I agree and create account. If you're prompted to save your password, don't do that. Uncheck this box and click Done. Okay, welcome to Tinkercad. If you're prompted with something like this, you can close out of it. And the very first thing that you will do every time you create a new design is to, well, click Create New Design. All right, here we are in a fresh, brand new work plane. The work plane is the area on which all of the 3D objects are built upon. But before we get started, let's rename this file. Up here is a randomly generated name, Fantabulous Burgerly Wolf. This is a pretty great name, but it's not very descriptive. So every project that you create is going to be named something like this. Click on it. Always have your first name, your last initial, and a word or two to describe what's being made here. In this case, we're going to call it Exploration. So go ahead, pause the video to finish creating your Tinkercad account, create a new project, and rename it. Okay, now let's move on to the good stuff. All 3D models in Tinkercad are created from pre-existing shapes. And to start with, we're going to be using these basic shapes here. To add a shape to your design, just click and drag it into the work plane. Now there are a few ways to change the shape and size of your object. You can click and drag on these sliders. You can click on these numbers, or you can click and drag these square handles at the corners or on the sides to change the shape and size. If you click on a corner handle, you can change the shape and size in 2 dimensions. If you click on a side handle, it will only stretch out the shape in 1 dimension. Clicking on the center handle changes the height of the object, and clicking on these arrows will allow you to rotate the object. Now here's a pro tip. If you like the shape of your object and you only want to change the size, hold Shift on your keyboard while you are clicking and dragging one of these handles. Now you can see that the shape stays the same, but only the size changes. Okay, go ahead and pause the video to drag a shape onto the work plane and play around with the corner handles, the side handles, the top handle, the rotational arrows, and try holding Shift to manipulate the shape and size of your object. Okay, let's explore a few more really useful tools. First, you can minimize this. Now let's say I want to combine two objects together to try and make a house. I'm going to rotate this so it's square with the work plane. I can drag a second shape onto here for a roof, and now I'm going to use the handles again to change the shape and size. Now you can move objects side to side or back and forth by clicking and dragging, and you can change the height by clicking and dragging on this cone-shaped handle right here. I'm going to move the roof onto my house, and there we go. Okay, so this might look good, but it's important to change your perspective while working in Tinkercad to make sure that your model is being built the way you actually want it to. And there are a couple of ways to do that. You can right-click and drag on the work plane to change your perspective, or you can click and drag this cube here. You can also change your perspective by left-clicking on these blue highlighted sections once. I can also zoom in on my model by using the mouse wheel and zoom out, or you can use these zoom in and zoom out buttons here. You can also zoom in and focus on an object by clicking on it, and then clicking on the Fit View to Selection button. This is one of the most useful viewing buttons for working on objects that are otherwise kind of hard to get to. And as you can probably already tell, my roof is actually not aligned with my building. So by changing my perspective, I can see that actually I need to move my roof down quite a bit like this. Now again, I'm going to change my perspective, make sure all that looks good. All right, excellent. So go ahead and pause the video, try to get two objects to line up, and use the camera controls to view your model from different perspectives. Okay, we are almost done here. There's just a couple more basic controls. Now, let's say while I was working on my model, I grabbed the wrong thing and whoop, made a mistake. It can be very time-consuming and tedious to try and manually drag that piece back into place. So instead, if you make a mistake like this, the easiest way to fix it is to either click the undo button or use the keyboard shortcut Control-Z. Conversely, if you made a change and actually you kind of liked it, you can click the redo button or Control-Y. Now let's say you don't like a particular object that you created, all you do is click on it, and you can either press this trash can icon or hit the delete key on your keyboard. Now if you created an object that you liked and you want more of it, you can click the duplicate icon here or press Control-D on the keyboard. If you want to duplicate more than one object, you can click and drag to select multiple objects and duplicate them. Okay, those are all the basic controls. Now it's your turn. Go ahead and pause the video to try deleting objects, undoing mistakes, duplicating objects, and selecting multiple objects. Then spend the next 5 minutes or so just exploring Tinkercad to see what kinds of shapes it has to offer. See you in the next video.